They say the darkest places are empty, void of meaning, comfort, or hope. But what if those places are where God watches the most closely? Have you ever sat in silence, not because you chose it, but because the world chose to leave you there? In that kind of silence, something sacred begins to stir, not outside you, but within. Sometimes we think of God's voice as thunder, but what if it's more like a breath, a whisper too soft for a noisy world? In your hardest moments, could it be that He's not silent but simply speaking in a language quieter than pain? We often ask, "Where are you, God?" But maybe the real question is, where am I hiding? In darkness, we become invisible to the world but never to Him. What if the cave you fear is where He's waiting? Have you ever lit a candle not to see better, but to remember you're not alone? Light doesn't remove the dark, it reminds us it never had the last word. Jesus said, "I am the light of the world." He didn't say the world wouldn't be dark. He said He'd shine in it. When the world turns its face, we think we've been abandoned. But perhaps God is just hiding in the silence, waiting for us to finally ask, not for escape, but for presence. Have you ever whispered into the dark, not expecting an answer, yet somehow felt heard? A child in the dark cries out, not because the dark has changed, but because their faith in protection flickers. Are we so different? Sometimes faith isn't about walking boldly, but staying still and believing someone will come. We are not abandoned in the dark, we are accompanied. David wrote, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." That shadow only exists because a light is still shining somewhere. If God can shape the cosmos from nothingness, can He not shape hope from your despair? If He breathed stars into darkness, could He not breathe purpose into your pain? Don't rush out of the darkness. It may be the place your soul finally listens. Some seeds only break open when buried. What if this quiet, this void, is your becoming? Ask yourself this: is darkness always a sign of absence, or is it sometimes where presence begins to grow? The tomb was dark too, until resurrection. Have you ever noticed how shadows only exist because something is standing in the light? Maybe what scares you isn't the darkness, but the fear that nothing stands between you and it. But look closer. What if it's God standing in front of you, blocking the worst of it? Some doors don't open with keys, but with surrender. The heart doesn't unlock by force. It opens when trust walks in. Jesus said, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock." Have you heard it, faint and gentle, even in your silent nights? We often ask, where is God? But what if He's been asking the same of us? In your hurry, you're scrolling, you're running. Have you looked back lately? He never left, but He won't chase. Love waits. You might think your heart is too broken for God to use, but broken vessels pour out better. And sometimes it's through the cracks that His light gets in. In darkness, even your smallest light matters. The candle doesn't compete with the sun, it was never meant to. It just shines where it stands. So do you. There is a kind of silence that feels like absence, but there's another kind of holy hush, a quiet too deep for words, where only trust breathes. Do you know the difference? Not all who wander are lost, but some are, and that's okay. The shepherd leaves the 99 to find the one. If you're the one, this is your moment. He's already searching. Will you let Him find you? You weren't meant to carry it all. Even Jesus stumbled under His cross and someone helped Him. Who have you let in to help carry yours? And who have you helped lately? We forget that Jesus wept, the Son of God, who held galaxies together, also broke down and cried. Tears are not weakness, they are sacred. And when yours fall, he counts them all. You may not feel strong, but faith was never about feeling it, was about anchoring. An anchor holds beneath the surface, unseen. Just because it's not visible doesn't mean it isn't holding you still. The cave you fear to enter may hold the voice you've been waiting to hear. Moses found God in a burning bush. Elijah heard him in a whisper. So why not you, right here, right now, in the quiet cracks of your life? We wait for God to change the situation, but sometimes he's waiting to change us through it. What if the night didn't end, but your vision adapted? Would you still be afraid? Even when your prayers feel like echoes, they still reach him. God doesn't need volume, he responds to honesty. You don't need the perfect words, just the real ones. What if darkness is not punishment, but preparation? Before God said, "Let there be light," the world sat in shadow. Creation began with waiting. Do you know what a lighthouse does? It doesn't chase the ship. It stands still and shines. Maybe that's what God is doing for you right now. Even stars burn in silence. They don't shout, they shine. Perhaps faith isn't about saying more, but standing where you are and glowing anyway. Have you ever thought, maybe God doesn't remove the darkness because that's where your roots grow? You can't see them, but that's where strength is born. The enemy wants you to believe you're alone. But the truth, Emmanuel, means God with us, not God above us, not God used to be with you. One day, you'll look back on the place you feared and realize it was sacred, not because it felt holy, but because he was there. So, what if the darkness isn't empty after all? What if it's full of whispers, roots, waiting light, and watching love? Don't rush past it. Pause. Listen. Maybe this is the place where God finally has your attention.